A warm greeting. Today is Saturday, August 31st, 2024. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. In this video, I would like to provide an update related to a tropical wave we are monitoring in the tropical Atlantic region, which will be arriving at the Lesser Antilles during the morning hours of Monday, bringing some rain and wind gusts to the region. Remember, this disturbance has a medium chance of cyclonic development as it moves over the Caribbean Sea, and today we have considerable uncertainty in the forecast of its trajectory and intensity due to the lack of consensus among global models about its future. Although, for now, it is not expected that this tropical wave will develop before reaching the Lesser Antilles, it will still bring some heavy showers. Here, you can see the accumulated rainfall projection according to the GFS model between Monday and Tuesday. Rainfall accumulations of 70 to 100 millimeters are expected for the southern islands of the Lesser Antilles. Moreover, with the projections that have emerged today, we now feel confident that this disturbance will not pose a direct threat to Puerto Rico or the Dominican Republic. However, it is important for residents of the Western Caribbean and specifically Haiti, Cuba, Jamaica, the Yucatán Peninsula, Belize, and Honduras to stay alert to the evolution of this disturbance, as it could become a threat to this region in the long term. Currently, the tropical wave is generating a bit more convection compared to yesterday, but the circulation remains elongated, which is preventing this disturbance from beginning a cyclogenesis process. Fortunately, the development of this disturbance should be quite slow over the coming days as it moves westward. This is why, at 2 p.m., the National Hurricane Center lowered the development probability from 50% to 40% over the next 7 days, and now it is projected that development could occur in the central and western Caribbean Sea. This means it is not expected to develop before reaching the Lesser Antilles and crossing south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. The axis of the wave will be moving over very warm sea surface temperatures, which can definitely help generate new convective areas and possibly begin a cyclogenesis process. Something that will be key to its future intensity is what happens over the next 48 hours before it reaches the Eastern Caribbean, because today we have two possible scenarios. The first is that it remains as a tropical wave when it moves south of Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, which would delay the organization of the disturbance, and it would not organize until it reaches the waters of the Western Caribbean, where it could find favorable conditions for development. This is because the region north of Venezuela is an area where cyclones typically do not form. This would be the best scenario, in which it remains weak before reaching the Caribbean, and takes time to organize over the waters of the Central and Western Caribbean. This is the most likely scenario. However, there is a second scenario where, if the tropical wave manages to develop before reaching the Lesser Antilles, it would have better opportunities for significant strengthening in the waters of the Western Caribbean. We can see these two scenarios in the latest projections of the global models. Let's start by looking at the projection of the American model, the GFS. In this case, this model depicts the second scenario, in which a tropical depression develops during the afternoon hours of Monday when it crosses over the southern islands of the Lesser Antilles. If this scenario plays out, you can see that this disturbance would reach the Caribbean Sea as a tropical cyclone, and in that case, it would encounter very favorable conditions for strengthening. In fact, in the latest run, the GFS model shows a rather dangerous hurricane moving near Jamaica and Cuba. This would be for next weekend, meaning in about 7 to 8 days. So once again, the next 48 hours will be crucial to see what the future holds for this disturbance. Again, under this scenario, which is less likely, if it enters the Caribbean region as a tropical depression, it will have a higher chance of becoming a dangerous hurricane in the long term. However, the first and most likely scenario, which has the support of most models, is shown by the European model in its latest run. The European model depicts a tropical wave reaching the Lesser Antilles around midday on Monday, and then maintaining a westward trajectory. Under this scenario, the disturbance does not become a tropical cyclone in the waters north of Venezuela, where, as I mentioned earlier, it is difficult to see cyclone development. However, in the long term and by the end of next week, the European model does show a tropical depression and tropical storm developing north of Honduras and moving westward, eventually reaching Belize, northern Guatemala, and the southern Yucatán Peninsula. Under this scenario, that is, if it reaches the Caribbean as a tropical wave, there is a higher probability that it will remain relatively weak. In fact, the German model agrees with this forecast, keeping the tropical wave relatively weak, and it is not until Thursday or Friday that it develops into a tropical depression southwest of Jamaica. However, for example, the Canadian model in its latest run shows a hurricane approaching the Yucatán Peninsula by the end of next week, because, like the GFS model, it also develops a tropical depression just as it reaches the Caribbean region. Again, remember that under the less likely scenario, if it reaches the Caribbean as a tropical depression, the chances of strengthening will be quite significant as it moves through the central and western Caribbean Sea. This is why I urge residents of Haiti, Cuba, Jamaica, the Yucatán Peninsula, Belize, and Honduras to stay alert to the evolution of this tropical wave. For now, Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic remain out of danger from a direct impact of a tropical cyclone, while the Lesser Antilles, especially the central and southern islands, should expect some strong winds and rainfall accumulations of around 100 millimeters between next Monday and Tuesday. These scenarios can also be seen in the ensemble members of the European model. The vast majority of members keep this disturbance weak for at least the next 4 to 5 days, and it is not until it reaches the waters of the Western Caribbean Sea that they show cyclonic development. However, note that a small percentage of the members strengthen this disturbance a bit faster, with it reaching the Caribbean as a tropical depression or tropical storm, and under this very unlikely scenario, it could then become a dangerous and powerful hurricane in the long term. Regardless of which of the two scenarios we have in the coming days, keep in mind that sea surface temperatures across the Caribbean Sea are at record levels, and it is of utmost importance to remain vigilant in case this disturbance finds conditions for rapid strengthening by the end of next week. Also, look at the different scenarios shown by the American model, with some members showing a stronger system that could threaten Haiti, Jamaica, or Cuba, while others show a system that takes longer to organize and eventually reaches the waters of the Western Caribbean. There is definitely a lot to observe in the coming days. Here on Hurricane Info, I will continue to monitor the evolution of this disturbance to keep you informed of any significant changes in the model projections. To ensure you don't miss any of the videos I will be recording in the coming days, I invite you to subscribe by clicking the red button below the video that says subscribe, then click the bell to receive notifications when I record new videos. Well, that's all for now. I hope you all have an excellent night, and I will see you in the next video, which I will be recording tomorrow. Goodbye for now.